number of Republicans, including Josh Hawley of Missouri and apparently Ted Cruz of Texas, are going to lead an effort to challenge the electors. Mitch McConnell has already opposed the effort. Tom Cotton is opposing the effort. And, of course, the majority of Democrats are going to oppose the effort. In order for this to succeed, as we've said from talking to John Eastman, one of the president's lawyers, the lawsuit that Louis Gohmert filed had to succeed. That was a lawsuit that sought to declare certain parts of the Electoral Count Act of 1887 declared unconstitutional in order to give more power to Vice President Mike Pence. Mike Pence also, by the way, opposed that lawsuit, although he welcomed the efforts to challenge the electors by putting on evidence that the election was riddled with irregularities, if not voter fraud. He did not want, however, the power, apparently, to decide the electors, the slate of electors, the way the Republicans who filed the lawsuit wanted him to. So this is not going to go anywhere. But what will happen is the American people will likely see some evidence that they haven't seen for the first time because they're watching CNN, MSNBC, reading the New York Times, and so forth, about voter fraud, voter irregularities, and some of the legal things that the Democrats did in order to win the election, such as ignoring election deadlines, allowing unelected officials to impose unilateral deadlines, all sorts of things that apparently were not illegal, but certainly were shady. And the election, the Democrats will then have a president, assuming Biden becomes president, who will have over him the mantle of being illegitimate, the same thing they hung President Trump with for the last 4 years. That's why they are so angry. And when you hear them say that this effort on the part of the president calling for the resignation of the governor, calling for the resignation of the Secretary of State, all that's doing is dividing the Republicans in Georgia, making it more likely Democrats are going to win. Do you really think that they care? If they really felt the president was doing that, they'd be cheering this. No, their concern is that for the next 4 years, assuming Joe Biden is president and survives 4 years, for the next 4 years, this guy will be perceived by much of the country as illegitimate, just as 78% of Democrats, 78% believe that President Trump would not be president but for Russian interference, even though the intel community has never reached that conclusion. Indeed, Jay Johnson, Obama's Secretary of Homeland Security, said we've never reached that conclusion. Yet 78% of Democrats believe that. They don't want 78% of Republicans feeling that way about Joe Biden. That's what's going on here. 888-971-SAGE.